And it looks like he's got a backpack on, so he must have been doing some hiking. Anybody else want to go to Norway? I'll tell you, you definitely got me. You definitely have me signed up at this point. You definitely got me signed up. And Hans also, I didn't know if he's going to talk about it in our chat today, but he also recently made a trip to Sweden to pick up a Swedish beauty that he had seen advertised as for sale. So yeah, I mean it's just a phenomenal opportunity to have Hans come on board. And again, he has such an obvious passion for what we do with vintage sewing machines that I'm really excited to have this conversation with him, explore a little bit more about what he's going to be trying to contribute as far as being a moderator on the Facebook business page. I'm just going to adjust this camera a little bit real quick here. What he's hoping to contribute through the Facebook business page, and just his interest in vintage, how he kind of got into it. And I know he's going to be at the university where he helps teach, and he has already a number of machines there, and he's also going to be bringing some additional machines in as well to give us an opportunity to catch just a little glimpse of some of his personal collection. Well, that is a flashback actually to the interview that I did with Hans Christian after he accepted my invitation to become a moderator on my Facebook business page. And that was back in November of 2019. So as we speak, with this being March, Hans has served faithfully in that role for about 16 months from the time that he accepted it until now we're in March all of a sudden. Boy, how did that happen? But my father used to say, he said, the only thing constant is change. And so over the last number of months, I behind the scenes, I've been chatting with Hans and just know about the extra weight that he's been carrying with regard to caring for his parents, the demands of his civic responsibilities. He's involved in local government as well. And then, of course, his university work that he does in being a teacher for students that are interested in farming and in that field of science. And then obviously also he has a farm as well, so there's certain responsibilities in taking care of the farm and his family also. And I had recently shared a post with all of you that follow me on Facebook, and it was basically highlighting Hans as a hero, because I wanted to make all of you aware that, you know, he's carrying a huge weight right now. All of us have weights to carry, but I wanted to highlight the cross that he bears in relation to his responsibilities, and I've already touched on some of those. And I described him as a hero, and I also pointed at Bill. I know Bill has his own crosses to bear, and Sonny as well. And I just talked about, you know, a concern for Hans, because a couple years back, Hans had had a serious stroke, and it could have taken his life. And yet he tries to, as you can see right now on camera, he tries to maintain that posture of positivism, and just really brings a certain amount of joy to any contacts that I've had with him, whether it be by Facebook Messenger, or email, or phone conversation, like I had with him here when I talked with him just initially after he accepted that moderator role in November of 2019. But over the last couple of months or so, and again, I don't highlight this, I share it with you now only because there's been some events that have developed that I'd like to share with you. But over the last couple of months or so, I've noticed Hans kind of dropping off the radar. If I send him a message, it takes sometimes an extended period of time for him to get back to me. And I get it. He's busy. We're all busy. But it was kind of out of character for him. He's on Facebook Messenger quite a bit, and usually his response time is, fairly prompt. But I noticed it was getting more extended. I noticed that I didn't see him at any of the premieres, even when they were earlier in the day, say around 1 p.m. Central Time, which would have been in the evening for him in Norway. And I just got concerned about him. He's a friend. I love this guy, and I've come to respect him so greatly. When I shot this premiere that we're looking at right now, which you can re-watch it yourself, and I would encourage you to do that. I really, really, really would. And you can just search it. You can type in the little search hourglass on the landing page of my YouTube channel. Just type in the name Hans, H-A-N-S, and this will pop up. And this is when I first interviewed him, and I introduced him to all of you as a brand new moderator, again in November of 2019. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is when you get to know somebody and you consider them a friend and you've spent a lot of time interacting with them, you notice when something's off. And something was off with Hans. And so I sent him a note basically just saying, hey, what's going on? I've noticed you've kind of dropped off the radar. I'm concerned about you. And, if with all the weight that you're carrying right now, helping with your parents, helping with the farm, at the university, civic responsibilities in your local government and stuff, if it's adding to your weight in an unnecessary way in continuing to function originally as a moderator when I presented Hans to all of you in this premiere, and then later I promoted him to the role of editor. And I said, if all of this stuff with Facebook and answering questions and maybe posting letters as you've done for us on Facebook, which all of us love. If this has become just an added burden, I don't want to be a burden to you, my friend. Let me know that, and you've served with honor and distinction, and I would be more than happy to allow you to kind of step away from this because you've got all kinds of other things on your plate right now. And Hans wrote back a note to me that I'd like to read to you, because I think that some of this stuff, you need to hear it so that you can clarify for him that it's not spot on, as I love to say. So on Saturday, this past Saturday, whatever day that would be, I lose track of time, he wrote back, "Hello, Scott, and thank you for your message to me. I have been about to address the same issue myself, and I've told you about some of my issues earlier. I think it is time for me to step down now. I have still a great interest in vintage sewing machines, but because of several issues, I have more than enough with my own matters at the time being. I have several health issues at the moment, and a moderate depression, and long-time vertigo, dizziness really takes down much of my energy. I also work very long hours, and since September, I gave net-based lectures at late afternoon, early evening here, finishing at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, 1 to 3 days a week. Some of these lectures are given from Hamar, giving me another 1.5 hours more before returning back home. I also have an average 1 municipality board and subcommittees meeting each week, and this takes a lot of time. I also got the responsibility of the farm animals since my son got a health issue in December. So sad to say, Scott, I am totally out of time much of the weeks. I really think you are very professional, of highly skilled, Scott, and this is projected in your videos and work. I feel that I lack a lot of the skilled needed to be a full member of this team. And this bothers me a lot. I have contributed to some answers about Husqvarna Viking, and I have also found answers to some other questions. I receive very little feedback to my letters, and I am not sure if this is my bad English or the content, perhaps both. You have always given me good feedback, but when the customers and subscribers do not say anything, I feel my work is kind of wasted or at a low level. Also, the 9,000 subscriber contest didn't give enough entries to be valid, so perhaps the Norwegian focus is not important for the average person following cow country. So please remove my name from the team list so that a more worthy person can step up. I am still ready to answer your possible questions on Husqvarna if there are any, and IU get over to Scandinavia. I am still interested in saying hello and possibly get over to the factory museum in Sweden. Well, Scott, I think this is the best outcome of this situation, and I think this is both a fair development for both of us and also for all the persons following you. I am sure you can get one or more qualified persons to step up. With my best personal regards, Hans Christian. My response. Thank you for your response, but I certainly think you have served with honor and distinction. And many on this side of the water have come to love and respect Hans Christian and will be deeply saddened by you stepping away. Yet, caring greatly about you and your health and well-being, will understand and respect your decision and I consider you a dear friend and hope we can meet face to face soon. P.S. I will make the announcement on Monday, and if anything changes on your end, please let me know. God bless you, my friend. Hans' response. Thank you, Scott, for your kind words. If you want me as a resource person associated with Husqvarna Viking, I am still willing to serve in that role or be a link here in Northern Europe, but my earlier answer was closely linked with the editor function and being active at the premiere broadcast since my schedule is more filled than I've wanted it to be in the last months. The reasons have you already heard, Scott. God bless you too, and keep up your great work with VSM and the VSM community. With best regards and wishes, your friend, Hans Christian. And I wrote back basically to Hans after this, I would love to keep you in the loop as far as Husqvarna. Again, the thing to highlight here, a couple of things to highlight. Number one, I want to say to the world right now that Hans Christian has been more than worthy in serving in the role both as moderator when I introduced him to you in this video premiere back in November of 2019, and he has served with honor and distinction also as an editor and sharing some of those great letters with us. I don't know why, folks, sometimes I'll post things as well that I think are really relevant and very interesting and very engaging, and yet sometimes on Facebook they will go without any response. And I don't know if that's because people are busy or because they, maybe my perception and maybe Hans' perception is way off, because I think some of the letters that he's written have been fabulous. And certainly the other contributions that he's made as well have been, top tier, top shelf. So it saddens me greatly that for whatever reason, Hans would make remarks about finding a more worthy person to serve in the role, because that's way, way, way off base. And that's totally inaccurate. But I just wanted to highlight for all of you that I used to say oftentimes in corporate circles that perception is 90% truth. So we look at the world through an hourglass. We look at the world from our perception, and to us it's 90% truth. In many cases it's 100% truth. So for whatever reason, Hans has gotten a general impression that maybe folks are not interested in his Norwegian roots. He points out the contest that we had at 9,000 and there was only one entry, and so there was no declared winner. And I saw that as it was a more challenging contest. It demanded more of the folks that were going to enter it. And let's just face it, all of us by human nature sometimes can be a little bit, a little bit lazy. We can be looking for that easier route, that path that has less rocks to step on, less potholes. But what Hans got from that is that there was somehow a lack of interest in his Norwegian roots. Because again, with the contest that I did with him, I wanted to center it on his neck of the woods, as I had done with Bill down in Kissimmee, Florida. And obviously the contest response to Bill's was much more robust. But that's not a reflection on the man. That's not a reflection that somehow people like Bill or like Florida better than Norway or Norwegian things. There couldn't be anything further from the truth, quite honestly. But from Hans' perception, again, 90% truth, because it's his worldview, it's his perception. He somehow felt diminished by that contest ending with no declared winner. He somehow felt diminished by the fact that people didn't get more excited about the contest that he had very thoughtfully put together. And maybe some of the other posts that he had made with his letters as well kind of went unnoticed. And it probably wasn't something personal. It wasn't anything against his Norwegian roots. It was simply that people get busy and sometimes they miss things that could be of value to them. They do it with me as well, and I'm sure they've done it with Bill with some of his posts. And now with Sunny as a brand new editor, who knows, maybe when she posts certain things, there'll be less of a response. But I don't want her to take that personally either. It is what it is. It happens to all of us. And that's the risk we taking. That's the risk we take in stepping out of the shadows. Just as my friend Hans Christian from Norway did all the way back in November of 2019 when he accepted my invitation to become a moderator. He took a risk. He took a risk, and I respected him for that, and I still do. And I respected him as well when I moved him into the editor role so that he would have more access and more authority on the Facebook page and be able to share some of those wonderful letters that he did and some of the other posts that he did as well. But the whole purpose of this premiere, and I can come out in this shot now a little bit and step into the shot. The whole purpose of this premiere is to share with all of you that because of all the things that I just read from his note, personal health issues, the demands of all the different areas of his life that he has to balance somehow, that he has decided to take a step back. Come out on this shot a little bit more. He's decided to take a step back away from his functions, excuse me, take a step back away from his functions on my Facebook. Let me get a drink of water. He's decided to take a step back, or a step away, I guess is more accurate, from his responsibilities on the Facebook business page as an editor. And when I introduced this, stepping in way back in November 2019 as a moderator. And it hit me hard, just knowing that it's probably the best thing for him to do. And I say that with bittersweet all over my tongue, in my mouth. It's very bittersweet because I don't want the extra burdens with the schedule and everything that I read to you in his note that he sent to me. This guy is going from dawn to dusk, and he's traveling to the university. He's doing all kinds of other things that press him to the limits. And I shared that in that Facebook post where I was talking about the weight that he's carrying, plus the weight of his family, the weight of taking care of his parents as well. And I don't want to, dig my heels in. One side of me wanted to dig my heels in when I got that response back after I reached out and basically asked him what's going on, how are things going, do you've been off the radar, do you need to step away from this role with the Facebook page. One side of me, when he wrote that back, wanted to say, hold on, buddy, hold on. You know, we need you. And we do. But at the same time, the other side of me looked at it objectively and said, do I want to push Hans further than he's already being pushed and have him suffer another stroke that maybe he won't be so fortunate this time that it could take his life? So I basically responded in grace and in love, because I do love this guy. And I basically said, you know, it saddens me greatly. It's going to sadden others greatly as well to know that you're stepping away from this role. But the good news is, when I reached out and I read some of those other notes to you as well, he's willing to stay in some capacity, but more limited. So I'm going to leave his editor profile, his editor credentials intact. Usually when someone steps away from a role, you know, if you're working for a business and you step away from that company and you've got security access or you have emails associated with that, all of that stuff gets wiped away as soon as you step away from that position. You know, even if you're, you know, occasionally going to be called back, usually those things are pulled. I'm not going to do that, because I want to leave that door open that if all of a sudden Hans gets a break and maybe his load lightens, he'll still have those credentials to step back in and to write one of his incredible letters again that, I don't know about you, I don't want to speak for you, what he's contributed has been what he's contributed has been significant. And it chokes me up when I think about himself at any point perceiving himself as anything other than worthy of the role. If I could draw the perfect scenario of what I would want somebody to contribute, it would be a mirror image of what Hans has brought to the table. So for you, Hans, I'm going to say again, I'm so grateful for what you've given to us so generously. And I'm so grateful for the fact that you're willing to, in a limited capacity, stay in touch with us and be a resource. And I'm so grateful for you having, back in November of 2019, knowing even then you had a lot of weights on you, your generous spirit and stepping out at that time and accepting that moderator role. So to all of you that follow what I do on Facebook and or YouTube, I would be extremely grateful if you would find a way to reach out to our friend Hans Christian and let him know how much you appreciate what he's given and the fact that he's willing to, on a more limited basis, still contribute to the VSM space on the Cow Country Facebook page, and certainly, when and if his schedule allows, occasionally popping on the radar for a premiere. Or whatever he chooses to do. I mean, you've got full access, my friend. You've got full access. So, while this is a very sad moment for me, because I appreciate Hans so much, and I appreciate all that he's brought, and just his spirit. We also have the great news. You know, they always say, you know, I'm trying to think of who it was. Now I'm straining my brain on quotes. There was a great quote, and I want to say it might have been Dr. Seuss, but some very wise person said, when you're looking at your life, count your blessings, of which there are many, not your misfortunes, of which there are few. And the blessing, a great blessing in my life, and I'm sure in your lives as well, has been Hans Christian and what he's brought in so many ways to Facebook in so many ways to YouTube as well. And, I just know that if there's been a missed opportunity for you to convey that to this man, that you'll do it. If there's been somehow an opportunity for him at any point to perceive anything other than he's been worthy of the role, that he's been a blessing to all of us in bringing what he's brought, in contributing behind the scenes and also in front of the scenes, then maybe this is our opportunity to right that wrong. And Hans has told me more than once in notes that I haven't shared that he appreciates my kindness. So I've tried to do that for Hans because I truly am beyond words so appreciative of what he's done and what he's brought and what he's contributed both publicly and privately. But even in my case, I'm sure there's been opportunities maybe that I've missed to convey that to him. And so this is your chance now to if there has been a wrong or if there's been a missed opportunity, to make that right. I'm hoping that you won't miss the opportunity again, and I'm hoping that as he stays in a limited capacity, that I won't miss opportunities either to let him know how much he's appreciated, how grateful we are. And this is a man, again, back in November of 2019, when you first saw this wonderful smile presented to you, and when you got a chance to meet him a little bit as he was showing the different machines that he had in his office at the university. What can I say? I mean, it was one of those things that all of a sudden you realize that there's somebody real special that has stepped into our midst, and someone that is going to make a big difference in the contributions that they make. But more importantly, someone that genuinely cares. Even though back then in 2019, he was pretty much brand new to vintage sewing machines. He even said to me when I presented him the opportunity of becoming a moderator, Scott, I don't have really very much knowledge or experience in this space. I don't know that I'm qualified. Well, you know what? I look at qualifications when it comes to someone willing to step up to a moderator role or an editor role. I look at it differently. It's not a matter of looking at their resume and saying, okay, how many machines have you restored? How long have you been in the vintage space? What are your credentials, Hans Christian? What are your credentials, Bill O'Rourke? What are your credentials, Sonny? And I don't look at it that way. I look at the heart factor. I look at how much do they care? How much are they willing to learn? How passionate are they about wanting to become immersed in this vintage sewing machine space? And all three of those persons that I just named, Hans and Bill and Sonny, you know what? They've got credentials off the charts when it comes to that passion factor. And so I was honored to invite all three of those individuals to step into those roles. And I still am. And I have another person in the wings right now, actually two people waiting in the wings right now, that I'm hoping to be able to officially announce shortly, that are also going to be hopefully taking a step towards a moderator role, and then eventually, like Bill and Hans and Sonny, graduating into that editor role, where they'll have a lot more opportunities to share and to inspire people to either re-fall in love or fall in love for the first time again with vintage sewing machines, because that's who these people are. Again, I don't care how long their resume is in the vintage space. I don't care if they've ever done restoration work before. I don't care if they can troubleshoot a machine down to the metric inches or thousandths of an inches and be able to regrind worm gears and restore that machine so it runs smoothly again. None of that matters to me. That's my job in the workshop. Their job is to reach out there with their God-given gifts and inspire people to get excited about vintage, which they all are A+ people on my book as far as being able to do that. And with Sunny's recent promotion to editor role, I'm so excited to see again what she presents. And as Bill has time as well, steps out more and sharing great things, like the fact that he worked with Andy Williams, or that he was working side by side with the original creators of the Muppets. You know, these are little nuggets that these folks will carry in their back pocket, and they don't even think to share it. It's not a big deal to them. They're not wanting to showcase it as a bragging point, and yet when they bring it out and they put it in front of us, it's like, what? And I'm sure there are a lot of nuggets that Hans has kept in his back pocket. And I'm so thankful that he's willing to stay on in a limited capacity so that some of those nuggets maybe he'll take out. And he'll just awe us and blow us away with some of the incredible blessings that he's had in his life that will become blessings to us because he's been generous in wanting to share them with us. And again, not to say, look at me, but generously wants to share them because he's proud of those opportunities. And he thinks that somehow, some way, that we might be interested. And we should be interested. We should take time to go by that post that, whether it's him or Bill or Sonny or whoever, put something up, that we pause our life just long enough, like we recently did with that fundraiser, that we pause our life long enough to recognize the greatness in other people so that they're never left with the impression they're never left with the impression that what they've given, what they've taken the risk to share with us, doesn't matter. Right? So, any rate, that's where we're at. My good friend Hans Christian is going to be taking a step away from his regular functions. Still going to kind of keep his toe in the pond, but I would rather him keep his toe in the pond than get to a point where whatever either he thinks we expect of him or whatever I indirectly ask of him pushes him over that edge again where he could have even more serious health consequences and could suffer another stroke. Any of you that have medical backgrounds like me, and I know a lot of you others out there as well. Sonny is a retired nurse, and any of you others out there that have medical backgrounds already know that once you've had a medical crisis, that you are a lot more susceptible, you're a lot more vulnerable to have a reoccurrence of that again. So that's why, again, even though, I mean, you think I'm getting emotional right now, you should have seen me behind the scenes when I read his note. Again, especially his perception that he wasn't worthy of the role that he has served with complete honor and complete distinction. So, but I like to look at things with a big picture and say, okay, I could be selfish. And if I pushed Hans when he wrote that note back, confirming my suspicions that he was overloaded, confirming my suspicions that he was struggling, confirming my suspicions that he was under a weight that was pressing him down to a point that it could trigger another stroke. And that's where you can't be selfish. And you've got to say, you know what? Take a step away, my friend. Get some balance, get some semblance of balance back so that you don't suffer a major medical crisis again, like a stroke, and we could lose you because we're selfish and we want to hang on, we want to cling we want to cling on to you because of what you bring. And
Because quite frankly, we love you, and
So Hans, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for all that you've brought so generously, and so excited about the fact that you're willing to keep a toe in the pond in a sense. And again, all of the credentials that you've had to work as an editor, they're not going anywhere. They're staying right there. And that way, as the opportunity, if the opportunity, let me say that with a big if the opportunity comes up where you decide you want to share a letter, share away. Because every chance we have to hear from our friend Hans is a welcome thing for sure. So, Hans, thank you again, my friend. God bless you, and keep balance in your life. And even with taking a little step away from us, if that civic responsibility with your local government, as much as you might enjoy it, becomes too much, take a little step away from them as well, because there's nothing more important than your health. There's nothing more important than you, for as long as the good Lord grants it, stay on this earth to inspire and bless others as you have all of us. So, again, if I could write up the perfect person that I could put into a moderator role, the perfect person that I could put into an editor role, it's Hans Christian. You have served more than worthy in the role. You have served with honor, with distinction, and I'm so grateful for you, my friend. I'm so grateful. All right. I'm going to sign off now, but also with a quote. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act. It's a habit. Hans Christian, you have that habit, my friend. God bless everybody, and I hope you'll join me in letting Hans know how much we appreciate him. And the same goes for Sonny and Bill as well. Let's not let a missed opportunity go there either, okay? All right, take care everybody. God bless.